YouTube, how the duck you doing? Duck Films here. What I got for you today is, let me check my notes, hold on. We're doing a tier list for Marvel Rivals. I'll be placing my picks on the list and explain to you why I think they should be in that tier. But I'll be giving two different explanations, one being for a higher elo stance, and the other being from a lower elo stance. And of course, if you're new here or find yourself coming back as a regular and you aren't already subscribed yet, why not? It's completely free and, well, you're coming back anyways. Like the video if you liked it, and without further ado, let's get started. So firstly, getting started, we have Doctor Strange, and I still firmly believe that he's in the S tier. This character is great for any type of situation, and his team-up combos are just too powerful. And I firmly believe putting Doctor Strange anywhere below S tier is just a really bad move. I think he's probably the strongest tank in the entire game if really played properly, and there's really no downsides to character. I guess the only downside you could say is that his portal's on a pretty long cooldown, but I think that's perfectly fine because his portal is super strong. I think you can play this character perfectly fine in both a super high elo and a super low elo, because there's really no faults with him. Now, when you're watching this tier list, there's something to keep in mind. When you're in Diamond and above, you have hero bans, and when you're below Diamond, you don't have hero bans, so it might feel a little bit different to your own tier list. So in a way, I'm going to give you two tier lists or explain my reasoning for both a high and a lower elo. Now, when it comes to Hulk or Bruce Banner, he's a very interesting character. You know, originally this character seemed really good on paper with all of his abilities, but he definitely lacked, certain aspects that this game needs. However, he has a very strong team-up ability. That's with Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and Hulk. The team-up ability is insane. And as more and more people understand the game, Iron Man Hulk combo has become a lot more prevalent in the higher elos, and it's usually going to be a ban. The team-up ability is insane. So for a higher elo perspective, I put him in the A tier. However, once we start talking about the lower elo players, or the players that are below Diamond so they don't have to worry about pick bans, Hulk is not that strong anymore. Mainly because they have the freedom to choose and pick what they want, and most of the time they're not going to be picking Hulk. And for that specific reason, we're going to be placing him in the C tier for the lower ranks, because there's just better picks to choose from. And again, I still think Hulk is a very solid character if played properly with the right team composition. And this is really true in the higher elos, but in terms of the lower elos, not really. Now when it comes to a character like Magneto, Magneto is a very crucial part of a lot of team comps. And I generally think across the board, he's a very solid and well-rounded character. There's not too many faults that I see with this character versus, other tanks. And I feel that he can be played at a super high level and still be very prominent in the lower ranks as well. For that reason, I'm going to be placing him in the S tier, but you could debate that and say he's only A tier because he's not as strong as Doctor Strange, but regardless, I still feel like he's a super solid pick if you want to play tank. Now, when it comes to a tank like Thor, Thor is a very interesting character. See, usually you pick Thor because you have the Hela team-up combo with Loki as well, but most of the time in higher elo, again Diamond above, this character is getting permaban, that being Hela. And because the Hela Thor team-up combo is very crucial to this character, and because Thor doesn't really do that good at being a tank and dealing that much damage in comparison to other DPS characters, there's no reason to why I would really pick Thor. For the sake of higher elo, I'm putting him in between B and A, leaning more towards B. Again, he's not the best tank character, and he's not the best damage dealer either. I think I'd much rather run like a Doctor Strange Magneto combo than having Thor on my team, but that's just me personally. Then comes lower elo. Now I think in lower elo, you can run the Hela Thor combo, so you can use that team up to your advantage. And I also think in the lower elo, a lot of players don't know how to play against a decently good Thor. Thor, for someone who's just picking up the game, could be rather challenging to play against. For that reason, I'm putting him in the A tier, again for the lower elo. But again, this is all my opinion, and everyone's valid to their own opinion. Now, when it comes to a character like Groot, I think Groot is a very slept-on hero. I think he's actually extremely well. And you're pretty much just playing like Fortnite or Minecraft, building houses, cranking 90s on people, and they don't really know how to react. Groot also has some pretty decent team-up abilities with both Jeff the Land Shark and Rocket Racoon. Mainly this is pointed at Rocket Racoon because he's a very good healer. I think his ultimate is also extremely strong. It's a very useful piece of utility that people seem to undervalue. Again, if I was picking, I would have a Doctor Strange Groot type of combo in higher elo and even in lower elo. So me personally, across the board for both higher and elo play, I think Groot is ranked at the A tier. He's a very solid and well-rounded character, and I feel like as players learn the game more, they will understand how to make Groot probably one of the stronger tanks in the game. Now, Penny Parker is a questionable character. She seems kind of good on paper, but in actual play, she's not the best. In the higher elos, this character is terrible. Please don't pick this in my game. If you do, I'm leaving. I think in the higher elos, there's just way better options to pick from Penny Parker. She doesn't really do that much useful in a higher elo. Like, there's really nothing to her kit that makes her better than Doctor Strange, Magneto, Hulk, and even Groot. But in the case of the lower elo, so under Diamond, I could see Penny Parker being pretty annoying. I think people don't really know how to play against Penny Parker yet. I think for the tier list and for the lower elo for Penny Parker, we're placing her in A. And for higher elo, so again, Diamond above, I'm placing her C. I think this character is terrible in higher elo, and again, there's just way better options to choose from. Now, Captain America is another interesting tank. He is different in the head, let's say. He kind of just runs around in circles, doing laps around your team and the enemy's team. He doesn't really do anything for you. I mean, he's cool. The concept is cool of the character. But in higher elos, yes, there are some Captain America players that are very good with him. But for the sake of Doctor Strange and Magneto existing in this game, I'm placing Captain America for the higher elo in B tier. So again, for a higher elo for Captain America, I'm putting him B. And I think for the lower elo, there's no reason why you're choosing this character. There's too many better tanks, especially in low elo, to choose from. Like, I'd rather pick Hulk than Captain America in low elo. So for that reason, I'm putting Captain America in the C tier, and I'm even putting him behind Hulk. I mean, again, there's just way better picks to choose from. So when it comes to Venom in higher elos, it can definitely be challenging to play this character. I mean, there are some very good Venoms in high elo that I definitely want to give credit to. And there's a lot of people that run like a Venom Spider-Man type of dive playstyle. I think Venom is a very good fit for dive. I think this character has a lot of potential in the high elo to be, at an A tier, but for the high elo, I'm putting him in the B tier. Again, he has potential to move up. Whereas on the flip side, for the lower elos, I'm placing Venom in the A tier. I think at the lower elos, Venom, a very good Venom player, can be pretty oppressive, and not a lot of people know how to deal with this character. So I think it's safe to say to put Venom at A for the lower elo. Now, starting off with our DPS section of this video, we have Black Panther. I think Black Panther is a very solid character. This character could literally control your game if in the right hands. I see a lot of good players that play Black Panther that take over games. And I think both in high elo and lower elo, he's a pretty strong pick to choose from. With that being said, I don't think he's good enough to be in the S tier, but I do believe he's potential and one of the best candidates to put in the A tier. I think putting him any lower would probably be a bad play, but I think putting him in S tier is probably the wrong play as well. I don't think he does enough damage for S, but again, still a very well-rounded character. Now, when it comes to a DPS character like Black Widow, I really wanted this character to be so good when it was released to this game. I think a lot of people don't play her right. I think no one knows really the playstyle of this character just yet. I think there's a lot of potential for a very good Black Widow to climb the leaderboard, but unfortunately, in the current meta, how most players are choosing a dive comp, I think we're placing Black Widow in higher elos at the D tier, and at the lower elos, I think it's about the same. We're going to be placing her in the C tier. Again, she can be good in the lower elos, abusing people, but I just don't think she's that good. Of course, everyone has their own opinion. I think this character has potential to be good. It's just there's too many faults with her that I see that makes her at a disadvantage compared to other DPS characters. Now, when it comes to Hawkeye and the higher elos, this character, you never get to play this character, I'll be honest. It's always permabanned because the character is so damn strong. For that reason, I'm putting him S, but it takes a very good Hawkeye with a lot of consistency to do very well on him because there's a better pick, which is Hela. Now, Hela, I believe, is also S tier. She's perma-banned for a reason. She's the strongest character in the entire game. With that being said, I think Hawkeye and Hela across the board for both higher elo and lower elo are both S tier. I don't think there's any reason why we should be putting them any lower. And generally speaking, if there was a S plus tier, Hela would be the first character up there. But expanding this tier list is out of my budget. Now, Iron Fist is an interesting character. I think this character has a lot of potential to do some amazing plays. But the thing is that this character excels usually in 1v1s, but most of the time in higher elo, players understand how to play against a decently good Iron Fist. They know that you need to be grouped up, they know not to shoot at you while you're blocking. Again, he has potential, so for that sake, at the higher elos, again, Diamond above, we're placing him in the B tier. But I believe in the lower ranks, of course, below Diamond, I don't think a lot of players know how to play against like a decent Iron Fist. I think they believe the character is too strong and too annoying to play against, and usually complain that he's dominating your game and you can't kill him. So for that sake, in the lower tiers, we're putting him at the A tier list. But some tips to keep in mind if you're playing against a Iron Fist: if he's blocking, don't shoot at him. And if you feel like he's going to be a problem, just stay close to your team. Those are generally the two biggest tips I can give you if you're having a problem with a Iron Fist player. Now, when it comes to Iron Man, I originally thought that this character is complete garbage. I thought he was probably one of the worst CPS characters. But as you enter higher elo, you notice that there is a lot of Doctor Strange Hulk Iron Man combos. And that's highly to the fact that the team up ability is insane for these characters. Now because of that, we're placing them at the S tier for the higher elo. Now when it comes to the lower elo, I don't think this character is that good in lower elo, mainly due to the fact that a lot of people don't play Hulk in the lower elo. So with not Hulk, there's no reason to pick Iron Man. So for that reason, for lower tier, we're placing Iron Man in B tier. Of course, if you're in higher elo, this doesn't apply to you. Now, Magik is another one of those characters that have a lot of potential. Now, in higher elos, there are some very good Magics, but usually they get target banned, so the person can't really play her. Because of that, I'm putting her A tier or B tier, in between A and B for higher elos, because it's very hard to be good at a character that you just end up getting target banned. But on the flip side, for the lower elo players, I think a decently good Magik can be very annoying to play against. So I'm placing her in the A tier for lower elo. Now again, these characters have a lot of potential to do a lot of good, so I think it's fine just being on the safe side, putting them somewhere where they have the potential to grow. Now Moon Knight in higher elo, it's either one of the two. You either have to flank, get an off angle, but most of the time you will end up getting caught out, especially if you're down without your grapple, or you have to set up a very good combo with your Ankh, but usually your Ankh is destroyed in about 0.01 second, so it's very hard to play Moon Knight at a higher elo. Of course, the people that aren't playing are like, don't have their eyes open, but in the lower elo, I think Moon Knight is at the A tier list because he can be pretty dominant, because not that many people shoot the Ankh for whatever reason. But again, that's all my take. Now, when it comes to Namor, I think Namor is a slept-on character. I said this when I made my guide video. I think this character is extremely strong, and it took a while for people to realize the power that this character actually has. I'm placing him in the A tier for higher elos. I think he sits in between S and A. Again, I think this character is very good. He has the ability to counter dive, so if enemies are diving onto you, you have your turrets that are shooting at him, and you have your blessing of the sea or ocean that can save you. And I just think this character is insane. Now, when it comes to the lower elo for Namor, I honestly think it's split between A and S as well. I think in the lower elos, players don't understand what this character actually does, so they don't really know how to play against it. I see a lot of players struggling against him, of course, in the lower elo, because they don't shoot the turrets and they don't dodge the giant whale that's coming at them. So for that reason, I'm putting him in A for the lower elo as well. Now, Psylocke is another one of those characters that I see split between S and A, mainly to the fact that people actually understand how to play against her now. One of those ways to play against her being Namor. But on the flip side, in the lower elo, of course, plat and under, I think Psylocke can still be placed at the S tier, because a very good Psylocke can definitely carry those lower ranked games, and you don't have to worry about certain characters being picked against you, because for whatever reason people platinum below don't swap from their one tricks. Now when it comes to Punisher, I think this character is very good. I think he's actually very strong. For higher elo, I'm putting him S. He has a lot of consistent damage, and you just shut off your brain like a lot of the other people talk about. Kind of just hold mouse 1, just shooting, especially if you have a Rocket Racoon with the passive team up ability where you get unlimited ammo. I think this character he's a tank shredder with his shotgun. I don't see him getting placed anywhere under than S for a higher elo. I just think he can do so much, especially with his grapple, and he can get to some pretty high places, and not that many people look up in this game. Now, in the case of lower elo games, I also think he's a S place character. I don't see why you should not put him there. Again, a really good Punisher can pretty much dominate a game at a lower elo. Now, when it comes to Scarlet Witch, especially in higher elo, this character is never played, simply because the character isn't good. Now, you could argue she's broken, she has aimbot, she has whatever, but trust me, she's not that good in comparison to other characters. So at higher elo, she's placed in the D tier. Again, don't think she's that good. In the case of the lower elo, I think she has potential. If you don't understand how to play against the Scarlet Witch, it could be pretty frustrating. So we're placing her in C tier for lower elo. Again, she has potential, but you just have to learn how to play against her. It's really simple, honestly. Her ulti's not that good. It's very easy to counter it. There's just way too many cons than pros for this character. Okay, Spider-Man for high elo. Let me think. There's only really one good Spider-Man. That's Necros. And he's not been playing it that much. I think he's been playing Wolverine a lot more now. And it's just not that good. This character demands too much of you to do. Too many mechanics you have to be aware of. He can be very easy to counter. For higher elos, we're putting him B tier. Again, I just think he's not that good. In the case of lower elo, most of the time, a lot of people don't know how to play Spider-Man. So placing him in the C tier for lower elo, I mean, there is potential for people to learn and grow with the character. But again, there's too many risks with this character that I see that makes the character a little underwhelming. Now, when it comes to Squirrel Girl, I don't believe she's amazing. She can definitely do a lot of damage. Her ulti is very easy to dodge. Again, she can do some damage, but one of her biggest piece of utilities is teaming up with Spider-Man. And in the higher elo, Spider-Man usually isn't getting played as much anymore. So I'm putting Squirrel Girl B tier. I think she has potential to be decently good in the higher elo. But again, there's just way better picks to choose from, and you really don't see Squirrel Girl ever picked. But on the flip side, in the lower elo, again, my friends never talk about seeing Squirrel Girls in their games, so for that reason, we're putting her in the B tier for lower elos. I think she has potential to be decent. She can definitely do damage, but again, she's just not that good. So when it comes to high elo play with Starlord, this character is a very sought after character, I would say. He is definitely one of the stronger characters or stronger DPS in this game. I'm placing him A tier for the higher elo. Again, there's better picks to choose from, but the team up ability with Adam, Warlock, and Mantis is definitely one of the biggest strengths that this character has. But on the flip side with lower elo, not many people choose Starlord at lower elo. Just, again, better picks. You don't have to worry about Hela or a Hawkeye or Psylocke or Punisher getting banned, so you can just play those instead of playing Starlord. So for the sake for the lower elos, we're putting Starlord in the B tier. I mean, he has potential to do very well, but in the case of picks overall, I mean, there's just better picks. I'm gonna be honest, Storm isn't that good, but I believe in my heart that she is a slept on character. I think this character has potential to be very good. She has a ton of useful, abilities in her kit that helps her team. She's kind of a DPS Lucio, per se. She has a speed up. She has a ability that gives her team extra damage. Her ulti can be good, but it's very hard to pull it off. For higher elo's sake, I'm placing her in B tier. I know this is a little controversial. Again, I believe this character can be strong in the right hands, and we just need more people to play her. Personally, I play her a lot, That's how I got to GM. I mean, there's just so much you can actually do with your kit that a lot of people don't see or miss out on. In the case of lower elo, I've never seen this character ever picked once, so for that sake, we're putting her in C tier for lower elo. Now, when it comes to Winter Soldier, this is a weird take, but I don't think this character is that great. I think you have to be very good. The one very good Winter Soldier I've ever seen is Wanted. Wanted is probably one of the best Winter Soldiers I've actually ever seen in this game. It's just because you have to be so good at the character to be able to really play him to his full potential. You have to have exceptionally good aim to stay consistent, especially in higher elo. For the sake, I'm putting him in the B tier. I think he has potential, but it's just, again, just better picks to choose from. But in the case of lower elo, I think you can put him A tier. I think he can still be fine. But again, I don't think he's as good as I once thought. You have to be, again, exceptionally good at the character to really pull him off the right way. Okay, Wolverine. Alright, Team Captain has showed us the true power of this character, so all thanks to him that you have a Wolverine in your game now. But a lot of people didn't understand the character, so that's why he was placed very low on tier lists. For this instance, for higher elo, I'm putting him A tier. The whole point of this character is to kidnap your tank and just shred him down. He does damage based on max HP, so again, people were just playing him wrong. They were capturing DPS players and supports rather than just kidnapping tanks. Again, Team Captain, if you don't know him, he's like the rank 1 Wolverine player, and he shows you how much damage this character can actually do. But in the case of lower elos, I think people don't have a clue to how this character is actually played. So for lower elo, I'm putting him in the C tier again. There's going to be players that understand the character and will say that for the lower elo, this character is annoying you or something like that. But I'm just going over a majority, pick percentage. So when it comes to Adam Warlock, I think this healer support player can carry a game. I think this character has insane healing, a ton of useful and impactful utility, and his ultimate is insane. But again, not that many people know how to play him the right way. I believe in higher elo he should be a S tier, but for the sake that there's only it's rare that I get a good Adam Warlock player on my team. So for that reason, I'm putting him A. I think this character can be very good. People need more time to learn how this character works, I guess. Now for the lower tier ranks, I think I'm gonna put Adam Warlock in B or C, in between the two. I don't think anyone plays Adam Warlock in the lower elos. I think people pick Jeff and probably Luna Snow, because that's like super straightforward characters. Now, I honestly believe Cloak and Dagger isn't that good of a character. Believe it or not, I think the character's okay. A majority of his team up abilities, and you don't really see a Moon Knight picked in higher elo, and you would pick a Cloak and Dagger because of Moon Knight to give Moon Knight the invisibility AoE. For that reason, I'm putting Cloak and Dagger B, or in between A and B for higher elo. I think this character has a lot of useful utility. She can be very good, but most often than not, you don't pick Cloak and Dagger. You usually pick Mantis. For lower elo, I'm going to be placing her A because no one knows how to play against her. Oops, I kind of missed Mantis. Let me go back. For Mantis, S across the board. S in higher elo, S in lower elo. The character is insane. She has so much useful utility that there's no reason why you shouldn't be putting her in the S tier. The character is just downright amazing. There's no faults with her. So when it comes to Jeff is a very interesting character. And higher elo, I would say B tier. It's very hard to find a very good Jeff player. Like, there's just so much stuff you have to be aware of and do. I think this character has a lot of potential. Just a lot of mobility, and again, very strong ulti. In terms of lower elo, I think he's A tier because he's a highly picked healer, and not really anyone knows how to play against Jeff the Landshark at a lower elo. I think Loki is probably one of the best supports in the game. I wouldn't say S tier like Mantis, but I think A tier and higher elos. I think this character is very good. His ulti can be very annoying, especially if you counter or copy, say, another support, ultimate. Then you have like two Mantises or two Luna Snows popping their ultis and no one dies. I think this character is a very undervalued character, and not that many players know how to play against him. For higher elo, he's definitely an A tier. I don't think he's S. But in the case of lower tier, I think he's also part of the A tier. I think he's a very solid support player, and there's nothing wrong with playing him. So Luna Snow, it's pretty obvious, but she's S across the board, both high tier or high elo and low elo. This character is just very solid. She has a very good ultimate, you know, healing, speed, and damage, whatever. Very good. She has very good healing output, and there's really no reason why not to pick her. Last but not least is Rocket Raccoon. This character, he's probably my favorite support character to play. I think he actually does a very good amount of healing, very solid. His damage could be a little bit low. I mean, that's perfectly fine. He is a support player. He has the ability to res one teammate every 45 seconds. He gives out armor packs, or I guess bonus HP in this game. He also gives a jump boost, and he also has a AoE, you know, or team-wide damage boost for a fight that can literally win you a fight. So, I mean, this character is pretty good. He also has an insane amount of mobility. I'm putting him A tier, but in my personal opinion, I think he's between S and A. I think he can be very strong in the higher tiers, especially if a Rocket Raccoon really knows how to move around the map the right way. But in terms of lower elo, I think he's also A. I think the character is also very strong in lower elos. Not really, people don't really understand that you have to destroy his respawn beacon and you can destroy his ulti, things like that. But anyways, that was my current tier list for Marvel Rivals. This was recorded, December 28th currently. So yeah, hopefully we see some changes, and hopefully season 1 adds new characters so we can make tier lists different. And of course, if you found this video useful in any way, shape, or form, do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. It would greatly help me out. But anyways, I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.